Hello. I'm going to finish debriefing my trip to Roaring Spring from yesterday. Uh, and the part that I saved for last, oh, and the governor apparently is not coming. Somebody suggested that was an April Fool's joke. I don't know. I checked his official schedule and there's nothing on there about it. But anyway, back to Danny Kaye's Cafe. Sheena had left, and um that was fine. I mean, there was I called her a young woman that was left in charge. I had a little bit of chance to talk to Danny Kaye first. Well, I really should probably call her a girl uh, instead of a young woman. I mean, she's very young. It was her very first job. She's still in high school. Uh, she's a junior, and I'm not going to use her name. I know her name. She happily gave it to me and showed me how I could find her online, or and vice versa. But I don't know. She just I'll just talk about her as the young woman. Well, we had quite a conversation. Uh, I do what I basically always do when I meet somebody new to me in Roaring Spring is I ask them, are they from there? Uh, and I asked her, and sure enough, she was. Told me exactly where she lived. Has has Was born and raised in Roaring Spring. Lived there her whole life. Her boyfriend is from Roaring Spring. Well, no, wait a minute. I think he's maybe from McKee Gap or East Freedom, maybe out there, but went to the same high school. Proudly showed me how handsome he is. He's an electrician, a couple of years older than her, and working, commuting to South Carolina, I think, something like that. Uh, I've heard of guys doing that by the week. So he's only home on the weekends. I mean, she was just telling me all about uh, eh, her life. I didn't even really have to ask. She was so happy to talk about it, uh, and just ebullient is the word that comes to mind. Just bubbly with her excitement about having this job and worried, and was she going to do it right? She's even going to close. I'm sure she did fine. But I go on about this because there was another chance for me to feel the heartbeat, you might say, of Roaring Spring, to have some idea of what it's like, or has been like, and is like, and maybe will be like, to grow up and go to school in Roaring Spring. As I've told you before, my uncle, Frank Bradley Camp, went to Roaring Spring High School back in the 40s before he was killed as a pilot in World War II. And I'd like to see a book sometime, fiction, a historical novel written about what life was like for teenage, well, up to his age. He was probably about 22, 21 or 22 when he was killed. What it was like to grow up in Roaring Spring. Back then, 1940 would be perfect for me. That's what I'd most like. But I'm also real interested to know what it's like now to grow up in Roaring Spring. I have two nephews who are uh, have lived all their lives in Roaring Spring, and they're a sort of a similar age, two boys. Uh, and about I don't talk to them all that much, but this is a public place. This is a cafe. People go there. They have coffee. They talk. It's like the Springdam Brewery in a way. That way you go in there and sit down. You meet people and you talk and you learn and share ideas. So I have a new contact. Well, let me tell you a little bit more. Not about her. I suppose I could. I mean, where her parents came from. She's ready to tell me all this stuff, and I would love to know more about her schooling, and I will. I'll see her other times, but I also offered a little bit about me. She didn't particularly probe, I don't think, but what she got fascinated. Well, the one thing I'll say is I told her I went to Harvard, and it was so funny to see her reaction. It was like she stepped back, and it took her breath away. It's so funny. Uh, I immediately told her, and I hated it. I didn't like it. It didn't seem to matter. And that reminded me of back when I was a Harvard freshman. I was talking to my roommates about this at one time. We called it pulling a Harvard because every time back then that you'd mention the fact that you went to Harvard, it would it would just kind of put a hush on. It had a strange effect, and I mean, I finally stopped doing it. I just well, I think we all did because it was annoying. All we just went to a college, but anyway, that struck her. And then when I was telling her about the traveling that I'd done, she told me about her travels. She's been on many cruises. She loves to travel, and I told her that I'd lived in South America for 3 years in Brazil. And once again, she goes aghast. You lived there? You actually lived there? And I said, well, yeah, I was in the Peace Corps. And she didn't know what the Peace Corps was. I asked her, and she said, well, it was a government program started under John F. Kennedy. And now I'm telling you about this stuff. Well, the Harvard business is amusing because that seems to have a general effect in Roaring Spring. I don't know if it's good or bad, but especially Sheena, she just loves to tell that. But the travel, I immediately tried to figure out, since the girl would love so much to travel. I said, well, you know, I think now the way to travel is online. That's the way people should travel now, online. Leave it to the experts. And they can show you with their videos and stuff. And I was thinking, how could I help her with the travel I've done? Because I've traveled so much to Europe, and of course I've put it online. But I was just caught by surprise, and I'm going to formulate a better package about how, if she wants to travel online with me, I can arrange that easily. I have arranged it. She could spend a semester abroad in addition to her high school senior year if she wanted, just by using my videos. Well, anyway, the big news to me was that I have a contact of an age group that I can learn more about the present Roaring Spring. I'm interested in the once and future Roaring Spring, but I also obviously am really interested in the present. Bye for now.